Quickly, in order to get started, you just go to your web browser and type in python.org, right? Just like you see, I'm having to type it again so that yeah. So if I just type python.org, like I have it typed, once it gets open, it will lead me here. This is exactly the Python website, the official Python website, and you could see some codes already here, but quickly we want to get it downloaded. So once I just highlight the download, I didn't even have to type it. I didn't have to tap it. So once I download, you see the all the releases of Python, the source codes, the Windows. This is for the Windows, this is for Mac operating system, and all of that. So you can sign for other platforms. Anyone you have, you could just follow the prompts and get it downloaded. But once I highlight the download icon, I'll find out that already I have download pass for Windows Python 3.12 or 12.5. Right. The warning I'd give is not to download Python that is not that is not 3 points. All right, version 3. Don't go downloading 2 points, no matter the other numbers behind it. Just go for the Python 3, and I think it's wise to just get this downloaded. I have Python 3.12.4, so this is Python 3.12.5. So once you just tap it, you see you will find out that on your download version you find it almost downloading already, but I have it downloaded, so it's fine. So once I have that done, I can just come up here to my Windows, and I'll now search, right? Sorry for the, so I can just type ILE, right? So this is exactly what I downloaded. So once I tap it, I'll see that it takes me to the file, the interactive shell editor for Python. It opens it basically. That's what it does. It will just open it. So I had it open already. So this is the interactive shell for Python. Here is basically where you write your code and it is run. This is basically the platform for Python, right? But this ideal shell is not all. You can have you can write your code in GitHub for Python programming language. You can have other editors like PyCharm where you can write those your codes. But Python, this is like the basic one you could use to write. So anything you write here will be run, right? So for instance, I want to write print oh, this is all in capital letter, and Python programming language is case sensitive. So I have print hello world, and once I do that, it comes up, it runs it, print hello world. It just runs it immediately after the line, right? So again, my name is Enoch, so I can ask it to print my name, right? Print my name, right? So I can ask it to print my name is Enoch. I can just ask it to do that. Once I do that, it will write my name is Enoch. So you see, you can write your code in the interactive shell, which is the first Windows that you open. It will show out your codes and it will run the codes there. But you don't want to have this continual, because for instance, you want to write a code, a program that helps you, just do things, and you're not yet running. So once you're hitting the enter button, it keeps going and printing. That will cause for a problem. You may not want to use this to write your code. And this interactive shell is also it just does Python. And remember, Python is easy, so you can do expressions like 2 plus 6, right? So you could do things like 2 plus 6, it will get it run. You could even do multiple operations, right? And it will follow the order of precedence, based on what we were taught in mathematics, which is of higher importance. It begins to run that like that. So you could do 8 times 2 divide by 1 divide by 2 plus 6, okay, divided by 2 plus 6, or yeah, minus 2, right? And once you press it, it hits you 12.0. So they write it like that, but that's not the point. So you could write your expressions, you could have evaluate it, evaluate whatever expression to a single number. Python can do that for you. There are other types and data types and all of that, so we'll get to know that. But for this video, is basically to show you how it works exactly, excuse me, exactly what it is and how it runs. So in order to get this code written without having to get it run every single line, so that you can have everything concise, you could open the file editor. And what to do that, you just go to your file. Once you go to your file, you go to new file, and the file editor will come. I can just drag the gist and just shift it a little bit. Yeah, so I have it here. So you find out that this looks like a twin of interactive shell, but here it allows you to write your code without having to execute it immediately. You are done writing your code, then you can now run it and it will appear. You can now run it here, you can type it here, and it will run here and give you the output here. So this can just be basically like your screen, like your output, and this is like your back end where your source code is written. So I mean, literally you can write anything here. Right, you could say go get me a cup, right? Once I hit the next button, it goes there without having to run it. And I could say bring it here, I could say bring it here. You see, nothing happens. So basically, this is where you just write your codes. And like I said, it's like the twin of this. So one distinguishing factor you have here is that this allows you to write, the distinguishing difference is that this allows you to write your code from top to bottom without having to run it or execute it. And this will not, right? This will not allow you to do that. Another difference, again, given that they look like a twin, is that you could find that you have this triple angle prompt, right? This triple angle prompt here that you see here is not obtainable here. So you could just keep writing your code, and it doesn't, you can't see that. So this little things would help you differentiate between the interactive shell and the file text editor. Right, so for example, the same things that we did here. So this same hello world, my name is Enoch, we'll type it here and then get to see the output and see how it looks and what's the difference and how it operates. Right, so I can have print hello world, right? So print hello world. All right, print hello world, and I'll go to the next line and say print my name is Enoch. All right, my name is Enoch, or this. All right, so once I'm done with this, I'll try to run it. I'll go to the run icon, and once I type the run icon, it comes out here. So you have run module, you have F5. Sorry, you have run module, you have F5. So you see, I can basically tap this or directly tap F5 to get it run. So once I hit it, I'll now find out that I need to save this, because this is where the file directory will have to come. So once I tap it, you see save before run or check, right? Source must be saved, right? Okay, to save, right? It must be saved. I must have saved this my source code in order for it to run. So this is where we start to talk about file directory. So I could tap OK, and it will lead me to the file path where Python saves all her programs. So it goes from this is where you see it from. You have programs, then it goes to Python, then it goes to Python 3.1.2, and here in anything I hear will save here. So but maybe I don't want to go that very far in trying to save it. This is like an if else statement that was saved here, and I don't want to go this very far, so I can quickly just go to my desktop, and once I'm at my desktop, I will hit it and then I'll create a new folder, right? But I had created some folders already, so maybe there's no need. So I can type create a new folder, and I'll type in the name of the folder. But I've done that and I created my Python practice, or let's say Python prac, right? And once I tap it, double tap it, I see I downloaded one as tryout. I'm just trying it out. So I can have this again to as tryout. So I can say try in, right? Just to give it a name, try in, right? All right, I'll trying, basically trying. So, and I save it. Once I do that, then this code here will now run. You see the difference? So you have here Hello world, my name is Enoch. Unlike you have hello world, my name is Enoch. Unlike what you see here. So this is looking a little more beautiful and a little more organized and also very neat, right? Unlike what you have here, which is a little bit scattered, right? So that's yeah, from here to here is a little bit scattered. So you have you see the file path. The file path here is it goes from users to PHP, that is the PC, to desktop, to Python Prac, to tryout.py. So this is the file directory. This is the file path for this particular code. Right, so I'll still use this file path, this code, and let's try as something else, or maybe a little bit more interactive now. So we'll try to see if we can create a code that will ask us to that will ask of my name and greet me or salute me, right? So I can use the hashtag, which is a comment, which denotes a comment, and I'll talk about that in a bit. So let's say a program that asks my name and salutes me, right? Ask my name and salute me. Now in Python, there's something we call a comment. A comment is and usually is being denoted by this hashtag. A comment basically is what causes a line of a program to become non-executable, so that as much as these programs are like this. So for instance, if I come here and I add an hash to this code, even though that wouldn't happen, um because it had already run, right? So if I try to add an hash to it, it will make this entire line non-executable, right? So you will see it from this example that I'm trying to do, right? So because I will run the whole program, but you find out that nothing about this comes up, or nothing about issues. It wouldn't show me an error, it wouldn't show me a syntax error or anything, because it's a non-executable code. This line of code becomes not executable by the computer. It just shows this is for my own personal use, and for any other person. Comment helps source codes to be readable and to be easily organized, part of the characteristics of comment. So this is just for my use. So again, let's still ask it to maybe ask me my name, and by that I'll do maybe enter your name, and the next thing is, okay, whatever I enter, let me say my name, let it be um impute. So I will not ask it to, all right, so I will ask it to print all right, your name is okay, my name is whatever I typed, right? So I would have that. All right, so I would have that here. Your name is the name, and all right, your name is that, and I also ask it to, right, all right, your name is, all right, so I didn't close this, so this is not, all right, yeah, so your name is, okay, I will not ask you to print okay, I cannot ask it to write my name and salute me with, okay, we, all right, sorry, with honor in our hearts, we salute you, right? This is basically to just, so all things being equal, if this is correct, it's gonna work like this. Or maybe this may not be so nice, so how about we do it this way? So I will come here and ask say take for granted I'll be a Mr. Right? Take for granted I'll be a Mr. So um right, so I think this should be better. So when I run now, you notice that I wouldn't have to save it because this is already the directory we are using, so it's already saved. I just had to edit it. So once I run it, okay, source must be saved, it will save it in that file directory. You can see it's the same file directory as the same, right? So once I write my name, I'll write my name is Enoch, and then let's see, your name is Enoch, with honor in our heart we salute you, Mr. Enoch. So basically this is what Python is. Very easy. It's high level, is interpreted, it's high level, it's interpreted, it has dynamic typing, some of the few things I mentioned in the slide in the video I created earlier. So you see, this is basically what it is, and getting started, this is how your Python ideally will look like. And thank you so much.